Hi everybody, I'm Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime streaming show, where we watch old 16mm films for lunch. And we just saw a film called Air, which talked about all different aspects of air, aeronautics, weather, fill in the blank, flying, all that stuff. Lots of great footage in there, lots of great experiments. Big fan of stuff like that. So we watched, like I said, old 16mm films, and I got one set up here. It's a civil defense film, and it's Introduction to the Ray-Def exercise. Enjoy.
I knew who it was. The Cold War was getting hotter again, so it had to be John Watson, our Civil Defense Director. My first thought was, of all times, to activate the Emergency Operations Center Saturday morning. I was a little annoyed. I knew everyone in town felt this crisis was not another Cuba. It was business as usual, like '65 when they started to bomb North Vietnam. Even though I'm the local Ray-Def officer, I followed the Cold War like everybody else, interested but not openly worried about it. The headlines were black so often that after a while you'd deliberately ignore them. Well, maybe for me that wasn't quite true. I was a high school physics teacher, and I suppose my interest in world affairs was more than average. That could be the reason I found myself saying yes to Watson when he asked me if I'd take some training and become the Civil Defense Ray-Def officer. But on my weekend, with my game sharper than it had been for weeks, activating my Ray-Def staff didn't appeal to me. There was quite an international squabble going on, all right. Shooting incidents, the usual threats and counter-threats. It was the old pattern, and it did seem that the whole thing was getting more complicated. But I was almost tempted to tell Watson that I'd finished the game before calling my staff to the EOC. The international situation just didn't look that bad. Alerting my staff was no problem the way the system had been set up. Each staff member had his own telephone alerting diagram card, and each call I made set up a chain reaction. It worked so well that when I arrived at the EOC, I was one of the last of the Ray-Def staff to report. Watson filled me in on what was being done locally to increase our readiness for an emergency, but he had no more news than what was in the evening paper. The National Security Council was still meeting at the White House after a hurried call from the president. I set the men to work and grabbed 5 minutes to call my wife and tell her where I was. At the time, I said I'd be home later that night, probably after we all caught the late news broadcast. Marge tried to sound calm, but her voice gave her away. Listening to her, my thoughts went back over the last few years of our life. Since I'd become involved in civil defense, our family had slipped into the habit of preparing for the worst, sort of like learning to buckle your seatbelt all the time. I remembered how we had stocked up on some food and kept track of other things we might need. Fortunately, a good community fallout shelter was just down the street from our apartment, And I remembered how Marge had started keeping blankets and certain essentials in a handy place to take to the shelter if they had to go, like Bobby's medicine. But we never labeled anything or put stuff in a box or anything like that. We didn't even really talk about it because you always think that's playing the game a little too seriously. It was a good feeling that Marge would know what to do without me and that she and Bobby had a safe place to go, just in case. I called a short meeting of the RADAF staff, and we discussed whether we were going to activate our fallout monitoring stations and our fallout shelter monitors. But we decided we'd postpone that step. I said we'd plot a few fallout predictions for practice and then go home for dinner. It's strange. I remember thinking about the golf game. Fred and I were 3 up on them when I had to leave. We never came that close to beating them before, either.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special bulletin. The White House has just announced that it has received reports of a major strategic nuclear blast somewhere over the Central European area. Fragmentary information arriving in Washington indicates severe damage. The President, now in meeting with the National Security Council, has asked the American people to remain calm and follow the instructions of local government officials. The nuclear blast occurred after almost a week.
It's funny. I didn't think it would start this way. Not this way. I don't know how I thought. I just never believed it would come at all.
Sorry, Windows security just removed a key driver for one of my film scanners, and I'm sitting there pulling my hair out, trying to figure out how to get it back. That's the thing, is like embracing more than 100 years of technology, 16 millimeter film, which is almost 100 years old, and then this new Windows technology that it always keeps changing on me, and bleh, I hate it. Anyways, behind me I've got a telecine that doesn't require any drivers to run. It just has a bunch of little computer cards in it to control it. The driver is required to run video so I can stream it to you, and we've seen what happens when it decides to crash. It just takes everything down. But we're going to try this. So there's been 2 tech issues today, and I'm just... All right, here we go. Anyways, this is Violin Maker in Praise of Hands. Enjoy. So that was wonderful, except that I was freaking out because I didn't hear any audio, and it was like, oh no, not no, this machine's causing problems. I was able to fix my one film scanner problem. There've been two today. The other film scanner was not stably capturing black and white film. It was just kind of doing like this. And so the way we remedied it was we put a little tiny piece of artist tape over part of the sensor so that it would not freak out. It's always something. Speaking of something, this is my lunch. And so my wife has been, she got me a bento box for Christmas because I watch Japanese TV shows that have feature bento. And so she made me kind of some sort of weird quesadilla. It doesn't have to be Japanese in the bento. So I got some sort of leftover meatloaf quesadilla with pimento cheese and the healthy part of it, which are apples, cucumbers, and some peppers and some mixed nuts. So that's what I'll be munching on when we watch this next film. Which is about controlling your emotions. That's what it is here at AV Geeks. Something goes wrong with the hardware, and I have to go back and control my emotions. So enjoy.
Emotion. Stimulus response. Just as this sort of stimulus produces this sort of involuntary muscular response. Well, that's a rather simplified suggestion of a complex mental process, but you get the idea. Cause, effect. Nature endows us at birth with three general patterns of emotional response. Rage is the response to the primary stimulus of thwarting, something interfering with our behavior or action. Fear is the response to loud noises or loss of support. And the emotional response to love is usually the result of a show of affection or favor. And these seem to be the emotions with which we start life. Then as we grow up, many everyday things and social situations become associated with these primary stimuli, partly by a process called conditioning. And so many things and people cause us to respond emotionally. And in general, that's good. For there are many factors involved in a personality. And a balance of emotions is important to a well-rounded personality. But emotions out of control, well, let's take a look at a slice of everyday life to understand how some stimuli can bring about various emotional responses. What might happen to you, or to me, or to Jeffrey Moore? Jeff is an ordinary and healthy and well-balanced young fellow. He usually gets along well with people. And on this particular Friday afternoon, Jeff and his triple date tonight.
My dad's gonna let me have that car tonight.
Oh, super.
That sounds swell, Jeff, but, well, I don't know if I'll be able to go. I got quite a headache. A headache, huh? Yeah. Well, how about letting Jeff, the old soda jerk, fix you up a snappy seltzer? See? Hey, what's that? You're going Some jerk. Yeah. Okay, Bob. I saw the whole wide stunt. Now, just suppose you clean it up. Go on, Wise. Clean it up. Yeah, it's right on the floor there. Look at the horse moving. Wise guys, huh? Well, suppose I don't pick you up tonight. I got a darn good notion to let you guys walk to the party. What got into him? You, I don't know.
Why is Jeff angry? What's the stimulus that brings on this sudden emotional response of anger or mild rage? Well, it might be that Jeff feels thwarted as he fails in the fancy trick to impress his pals. So he gets mad at his pals. And now it's later than he thought. He tries a shortcut, hurrying to get home.
Great Scott, who in the world left that there? What a time to water the lawn.
The shortcuts often lead to trouble, and thus loss of emotional control. You've heard haste makes waste. Jeff frustrated by the sprinkler, but he asked for it. Of course, Jeff's going to get the car ready for the party tonight. He wouldn't really miss a chance to impress the gang. But, starter won't work. Again, his behavior is thwarted, and a habit is being developed. A habit of allowing such things to annoy him. Jeff's losing control of himself. His thinking is becoming muddled, and he's careless in his actions. The madder he gets, the worse it becomes. Did you ever hear anyone say, "I was so mad I couldn't see straight"? Severe emotional stress often decreases efficiency. See what I mean? And of course it's the fault of the wrench. This is called projection. He's projecting the blame to the wrench. Well, we've seen Jeff lose control of himself in rage. Let's see how the rest of the family is doing.
Mother! Mother! Oh, it's wonderful. I love the new dress you made.
Oh, thank you, Joan, dear.
Dress tends to stimulate Joan's love for Mother. This makes both Mother and Joan happier. But how does it affect Jeff? And his anger affects the...
Oh, you're the sweetest, bestest mother a girl ever had.
I'm glad you like the dress, Joan.
Oh, I'm so happy. I could be a model. Or a cover girl.
Hey, what's gotten into that crazy kid's sister?
Oh, Jeff, don't be that way.
Notice how Mother seems to become angry herself because of Jeff's anger. Perhaps she shouldn't, but anger is a violent emotion, and we often see an induction of behavior or spread of emotion to other persons, almost like a contagious disease.
Hi, Rod.
Hello, Jeff.
Hey, what have you got? Well, that's my letter. Give me that.
Let me. I got your
You
letter.
dirty little sneak. You gonna give me that letter? You gonna give it to me?
No.
Okay. I'll show you up. This dirty sneaking brother, you gonna give me my letter?
Stop it!
Will you give me that letter? I'll teach you not to open my mail.
I didn't know about this! Stop it!
That's the thing.
Sometimes rage, fear, and love are aroused together at the same time. Mother's love of her children and her fear for Roger's safety were mixed with anger, almost rage, at both boys for the part they played in the flare-up. Of course, Jeffrey's family didn't realize that he had been exposed to one irritating situation after another, an accumulation of stimuli which brought about an abnormally strong response. And what did this do to Jeff, this sort of uncontrolled emotional outburst? Well, he regrets some of the things he said, but he can't unsay them. That feeling of fatigue may spoil a good time on his date tonight. And if this sort of flare-up is repeated often, it might lead to a permanently warped personality. What could Jeff do to keep better control? Well, we say he could, 1, eliminate the stimulus, 2, modify the stimulus, or 3, modify the response. With these 3 ideas in mind, let's examine Jeff's episode again. To control his emotions, Jeff eliminated the failure to impress his pals by trying such fancy tricks only when he can do them successfully. But sometimes the trick fails. There are many times when you can't eliminate the stimulus. Try to modify the stimulus. Standing off and looking at himself, Jeff realizes that a slip like that won't really hurt his standing with the gang. Taking it all lightly as a good sport, Jeff impresses the gang a lot more than if he gets angry over such a little thing. It helps to recognize and understand the emotional patterns. Then it's easier to eliminate or modify the stimulus. And there's an even more valuable way to control your emotions. Modify the response. Rather than get in the habit of getting angry, Jeff can substitute. He can modify his response by seeing the humor in the situation. What good does it do to get angry about this? When Jeff's in the habit of controlling his emotions, his thinking is straighter. Push the button. No starter. Let's see. Pull the light switch. No light. That means something. Reason it out. No horn either. So, must be a dead battery. That's straight thinking, unmuddled by emotional disturbances. And it's a simple thing to call the garage or someone for a push and a recharge. No need to fly off the handle and take it out on things and the people around. When he tries to understand and those of people around him, Jeff has less trouble controlling himself, and he and those around him are happier. The more he exercises control of his emotional behavior, the easier it becomes to meet the next situation without losing control.
Oh, how about it? Either the plane or the letter.
And so it goes. A happier time all around when emotions are under control.
Hey, Rod. How about you help me get the car pushed out of the garage so we can get it started and fixed up for tonight? You know, if the car's running, I can drop you off the movies tonight before I go out.
Yes, by a better understanding of the emotional patterns of everyone. And you and those around you are a great deal happier and healthier.
So that film got damaged at the end, so the Buffalo Education Film Library just tacked on their own little thing at the end. Anyways, let's see, I got another film set up on the telecine. This is Smoking, Personal Pollution. Enjoy.
And some of the effects it has on the human body. We're not trying to make up your mind for you. We would just like to let you know some of the facts about cigarette smoking. Then you can make the decision whether cigarette smoking is right or wrong for you. A lot of people smoke today. Some people have smoked for many years. Will you be smoking soon? We are all subjected to advertising messages inviting us to light up and enjoy the good life. The ads usually show young, healthy, good-looking people from attractive places. But what's really behind this smoke screen? How many people pay attention to that little notice printed in the corner of every cigarette package and in every ad? What happens if they don't? Some people may think that the secondhand pollution from industrial complexes and auto exhaust are more dangerous than smoking. This is not true. Granted, there are many kinds of smoke all around us that we can't do much about. But the number one pollutant to the human body is the smoke you inhale every time you light a cigarette. That's personal pollution, and that's something you can control. Maybe you'd like to know some of the facts before you take that first puff.
Oh, good morning. Good morning, Doctor. Every year in America, over 300,000 people die ahead of their time from the effects of smoking. Now, that's a lot of people. What is often worse is those who don't die but continue to live in pain and suffering from bronchitis, emphysema, lung cancer, and heart disease. These diseases cost billions of dollars in treatment and hospital care and bring a lot of hardship to many families. Well, good morning, Mr. Kilgore. How are you this morning?
Very good, sir.
Did you have a good night?
Very good.
Hey, you're looking better this morning. Yeah, nice to see you. Right. He's better, but he's going to have quite a bit longer hospital stay, I think. I'll see you later. There is no controversy about the facts. Thousands of studies have documented the evidence. Overall, current cigarette smokers have about a 70% greater chance of dying from disease than non-smokers. The death rate is higher for those who started at younger ages and for those who inhale. Life expectancy at any given age is significantly shortened by cigarette smoking. Even one cigarette could have a negative effect on your system. People don't realize what is happening to their bodies when they smoke. Let's take a look at Smoking Sam here. He's about 12 years old, and we're going to use him to demonstrate what actually happens. We're going to put the cigarette in his mouth, and we're going to light up. And Smoking Sam is going to inhale. One more time. There are two jars placed in his back where his lungs would normally be, so that you can see the discoloration of the cotton. Now, this same thing happens to your lungs. After smoking a whole pack of cigarettes, your lungs could take on this much pollution. According to the Surgeon General's report, a lighted cigarette generates about 4,000 compounds. And after the smoke passes your mouth, your lungs temporarily retain up to 90% of everything you inhale. Now, the various chemical substances in cigarette smoke affect the body in different ways. Now, the three most important that are damaging are tar, nicotine, and carbon monoxide. You saw the second-hand pollution that people are subjected to earlier. It is really personal pollution when these chemicals are taken directly into the body through a cigarette at any age. The chemicals in cigarettes produce irritation of the bronchial wall, which causes the bronchial glands to multiply, enlarge, and secrete an overabundant supply of fluid, which in turn provokes coughing. These chemicals by themselves irritate specialized nerve endings, which also causes a cough. Even one cigarette will have this effect. Further, these same chemicals produce thickening of the bronchial wall, which could be the forerunner of more serious diseases like cancer. You've probably heard of chronic bronchitis. something like having a bad cold with a cough. Well, chronic bronchitis is like having that cold never go away. Now, it's a disease of the airways that leads to the lungs. Now, when there's swelling in the air tubes forming an obstruction, the body becomes more subject to disease. If this condition continues over a long period of time, several years, as is usual with people who smoke, the next stage develops, which is called emphysema. Chronic bronchitis and emphysema are two forms of lung disease which are among the leading causes of death in the United States every year. Here is a healthy lung. Now notice the pink uniform texture. It moves evenly and appears to be pliable and elastic. Now here is a lung with emphysema. After continuous cigarette smoking, notice the changes in the color and the contour. The color change and the dark streaks are from the absorption of the multiple pollutants inhaled from cigarettes. Another way to look at emphysema is to think of the lungs as a whole house with walls inside dividing the area into rooms for living space. Then a demolition crew comes in and little by little knocks the interior walls down, leaving only one room to serve the purpose of all the others. The lungs need those surface areas to do their job, so if you don't have the ability to absorb oxygen and excrete carbon monoxide through the lungs because of smoking, the disease advances from chronic bronchitis to emphysema. In many cases, more than 50% of the lung's surface area is lost. Periodic bronchial spasms may cause shortness of breath, requiring portable oxygen support. And let's not forget one other eventuality: cancer. It's a killer. Now, cigarette smoking is the major cause of lung cancer. So if you smoke, ask yourself, do you want to take the risk?
Barbara, I'd like you to come in here a moment and have a seat, if you would.
Okay.
Speaking of that cigarette that Dr. Williams mentioned, I've asked Barbara to help demonstrate the effect of one cigarette on the body at any age. Barbara, would you roll up your sleeve?
All right.
We know that smoking speeds up your heartbeat, upsets the flow of blood and air in your lungs. It also causes a drop in the skin temperature of your fingers and toes. Barbara, I'm going to take your blood pressure. This cuff will be a little snug. Your blood pressure is 116/80, which is really normal for your age. Now, Barbara, I'd like you to smoke one of your cigarettes. And just smoke normally. Now you can see, Barbara, that after smoking only one cigarette, your blood pressure's gone up to over 130. This is because one cigarette has an immediate effect not only upon the lungs, but on the circulatory system as well. The blood vessels constrict and become narrowed internally, which slows normal blood flow to vital organs. Smoking is directly related to coronary heart disease for both men and women, and is one of the 3 major risk factors for heart attack. Do you know that if you were to become pregnant and continue to smoke, even moderately, that it could affect your unborn child?
No. How? In what way?
It's related to circulation. Because the blood flow is restricted and reduced, the uterus and fetus will not get the proper nourishment. As a result, the babies of smoking mothers are apt to be premature and underweight at birth. Also, the chemicals, pollutants inhaled, tar, nicotine, and carbon monoxide, exert a direct effect upon the fetus and uterus, which may cause premature labor and abnormalities in your child's development.
I see. I really didn't think it made that much difference.
Why do you smoke?
I don't know. I guess because my friends do. Anyways, I don't want people telling me what not to do. I'm old enough to do things for myself.
So, how come you let these people talk you into smoking?
Hey, it ain't like I'm going to become no chain smoker or nothing. I just smoke a few, once in a while, like now. Anyway, it ain't as bad as drugs.
No one ever plans to become a chain smoker, or an alcoholic, or a drug addict. But the nicotine in cigarettes has an addictive effect, so before you realize what's happening, you're hooked. And then it's really hard to stop. If there's even one chance that you could be affected, do you want to take that risk?
No, I didn't get it.
Pardon me, ma'am. Do you remember when you first started smoking?
I remember my first cigarette. I was in 4th grade, and the guy I knew in 6th, he asked me if I wanted to try it. So, since he asked me and all, I did. It was all right. But I didn't start smoking or anything right away. I guess I really started smoking in about 6th grade. And I've been smoking ever since then. All my friends do, and smoke about half a pack a day. The only thing I don't like too well is when my friends don't have their own cigarettes, and they ask me for some. I don't know. I know it's a bad habit. My dad's a respiratory therapist, and I even saw on TV where this guy who smoked for 30 years, his lungs fell apart.
Have you ever tried to stop?
Sure, yeah, I've tried to stop a couple of times. Each time I try to stop, though, I get so nervous. I bite my nails, get fidgety. I end up smoking twice as much. I really wish I could stop. I didn't start smoking till about the 8th grade. But ever since then, I've been smoking about a pack a day. It's a bad habit, I know. I've tried to quit a few times. Everyone tells me you gotta quit, but I don't know. It's seen more hassle than... It's kind of neat. I don't know. It's just a habit.
The body is not designed to handle tobacco smoke. When a person inhales that smoke, it immediately affects the central nervous system, the vascular system, and the respiratory system. At first, smoking causes nausea and dizziness. There is immediate irritation to the lining of the mouth, nose, and throat. It also has various effects on stomach contractions and may lead to ulcers. And smoking is addictive. When you smoke, what is the real price you're paying?
Okay, but next time, you stop, okay? Straighten up your legs, put up your arms. Straight, right. That's good. Okay, takes practice. Go on, get a good grip. Okay, let's go.
Excuse me.
Yeah?
Do you smoke cigarettes?
No. I mean, I used to smoke like a year ago, but it really cut down my breathing. Besides, someday I want to become a professional gymnast. And I've heard that smoking can really mess up your lungs.
If you're into any sport, you have to stay in shape. All my top people know that.
Hello, Mr. Matson.
Hello,
Step right
doctor.
in.
Thank you.
I have seen thousands of patients with lung disease in this city alone over the past 5 years. Most of those patients got into trouble because they smoked cigarettes.
Now I know I have emphysema. But if I had known what Dr. Hardy told me today, years ago, I could have stopped smoking before it got this far.
Years ago, people didn't have as much information about smoking as they do today. With such things as the Surgeon General's report, many of the dangers of smoking have been made public. There's been a decline in both men and women smokers above the age of 25. However, the number of teenage smokers continues to grow.
Why? Do you believe all those cigarette ads? Did you ever get anything else when you bought a pack of cigarettes? More and more, people are becoming aware of the harm smoking can cause.
Non-smoking.
And in many places, the non-smokers are the majority. Some insurance companies even give special rates to people who don't smoke. If you don't smoke, you are definitely not alone. The pollutants in cigarettes are damaging to your lungs. Chronic bronchitis, emphysema, cancer, and heart disease are often brought on by smoking. Smoking while pregnant may negatively affect your unborn child. Why do something that will harm your body just because others do? The nicotine in cigarettes is addictive, so you can get hooked. Most athletes don't smoke, and for good reason. Will you be conned by advertising? Remember, it's your decision. Smoking is a risk, so be sure you know the facts.
Filter tip cigarettes haven't got.
20,000 tiny filters made of pure snow white estron, plus Viceroy's king-size length of choice tobaccos. Yes, Viceroy brings you double the filtering action to double your smoking pleasure. Let's look at Viceroy's 20,000 tiny filters on this magnifying machine. Here deep inside the Viceroy tip is a vast network of 20,000 individual filters. Magnified even greater, you can see how this network filters the smoke over and over. You get only the full, rich taste of Viceroy's choice tobaccos.
What have Viceroy's got that other filter tip cigarettes haven't got?
20,000 tiny filters, plus Viceroy's king-size length. Yes, Viceroy brings you double the filtering action to double your smoking pleasure. Smoke Viceroy, king-size, filter tip. Only a penny or two more than cigarettes without filters. What have Viceroy cigarettes got that other filter tip cigarettes haven't got? The answer is 20,000 tiny filters made of pure snow white estron, plus Viceroy's king-size length of choice tobaccos. Yes, Viceroy now brings you double the filtering action to double your smoking pleasure. Let's look at Viceroy's 20,000 tiny filters on this machine, the same type used in leading scientific laboratories. Here deep inside the Viceroy tip is a vast network of 20,000 individual filters. Now let's get closer. You can see for yourself how this unique network filters the smoke over and over again. So you get only the full, rich taste of Viceroy's choice tobaccos. And Viceroy draws so smoothly, so freely. What have Viceroy cigarettes got that other filter tip cigarettes haven't got? 20,000 tiny filters made of pure snow white estron, 100% filter, plus Viceroy's king-size length of choice tobaccos. Yes, Viceroy brings you double the filtering action to double your smoking pleasure. No wonder more people smoke Viceroys than any other filter tip cigarette in the world. Why don't you? Smoke Viceroy, king-size, filter tip. Only a penny or two more than cigarettes without filters. Now we return to the Viceroy Star Theater. Tonight's show is a presentation of the Viceroy Star Theater. Be with us again next week at the same time for another exciting story. Brought to you by Viceroy, the largest selling filter tip cigarette in the world. The cigarette with 20,000 tiny filters. The cigarette that brings you double the filtering action, yet costs only a penny or two more than cigarettes without filters. Smoke king-size Viceroy. King-size Viceroy, the largest selling filter tip cigarette in the world. Viceroy, the cigarette that brings you double the filtering action, presents the Viceroy Star Theater. What have Viceroys got that other filter tip cigarettes haven't got? 20,000 tiny filters made of pure snow white estron, plus Viceroy's king-size length of choice tobaccos. Yes, Viceroy brings you double the filtering action to double your smoking pleasure. Look at Viceroy's 20,000 tiny filters on this magnifying machine. Here deep inside the Viceroy tip is a vast network of 20,000 individual filters. Magnified even greater, you can see how this network filters the smoke over and over. You get only the full, rich taste of Viceroy's choice tobaccos. What have Viceroys got that other filter tip cigarettes haven't got? 20,000 tiny filters, plus Viceroy's king-size length. Yes, Viceroy brings you double the filtering action to double your smoking pleasure. Smoke Viceroy, king-size filter tip. Only a penny or two more than cigarettes without filters.
What is the first thing you do when you get up in the morning? I'll bet you the very first thing you do when you wake in the morning is you start to think right away of all kinds of things. Well, here's a book. This book is called The Thinking Book. It's about a little boy who does just that the very first thing in the morning. Shall I read it to you? Okay. Once it was morning, like today, and you said, "Good morning," but I didn't say anything, because I was thinking. Time to get up, right now. But I didn't say anything because I was thinking, because I was thinking. Put on that shirt, the yellow one. Thinking. I was thinking of all the pieces of dust that float and shine in the sunshine. And I was thinking of lemons and limes and oranges and yellow. And I was thinking of watermelons. I was thinking of pink. I was thinking, now wash both hands and wash them clean. I was thinking of washing clean. I was thinking of water in pails, in pools, in streams, and cool things like smooth pebbles and all the shells and all the barrels and the wells. I was thinking of waves and jewels and caves. I was thinking of blue and green. I was thinking of a garden and a pond, and thinking of a little fish I'd never seen. I was thinking. Overalls. Put on the overalls now. I was thinking of all the things under and over and all. Flip and flop and snip and snap. The way kites fly, like white kites in the sky. you throwing me and me catching me. I was thinking of swinging at the end of a string and never falling down. I was thinking about my skates and my skate key. I was thinking about me. I was thinking. And sweater. Time to put on a sweater. I was thinking of hands and feet and arms and legs. If arms were legs and leggings were armings, I'd walk around with my head on the ground and not have to wear any clothes on my toes, I was thinking. Time to put on the socks and shoes. And things that are different. And things that are the same, like hats and caps and thumbs and fingers and mittens and gloves. I was thinking of stockings and socks and locks and blocks and laces. And nice faces. And funny faces. And nasty faces. And special faces. I was thinking of different faces in different places. I was thinking of trips. I was thinking of going far away in ships. I was thinking socks, shoes, put on socks and shoes. I was thinking of moons and balloons. I was thinking of wheels. I was thinking of eels and seals. I was thinking of peacocks and pelicans. I was thinking of a swan. I was thinking of huge gold and silver elephants for me to ride on. I was thinking of zebras and giraffes and wildcats and bears. I was thinking of lions and tigers to eat you up. I was thinking of a whole enormous circus. Shoes and socks. Hurry and scurry. But I was slow as a pudding to bake, as a turtle half awake, as a peach in the sun, as a snail going to run, as a handful of honey, as jokes that aren't funny, as nothing to play and nothing to say on a rainy day. Please! I was thinking, I love you a billion. A zillion? A willion. Well, a gorillion. A hippopillion? A rhinocerillion. Okay. An elephantillion. And I was thinking, I love you as much as a peanut butter jelly sandwich all the way up to the ceiling and a whole chocolate cake. And I was thinking that I love you more than all the fire engines and all the steam shovels and all the dump trucks in the whole world. And that's why I couldn't put my socks on. That's why I couldn't put my shoes on. And that's why I couldn't lace them up.
I just read that Sidney Poitier had passed, and so I had this film handy. Unfortunately, I didn't have any films handy for Betty White or for Peter Bogdanovich or anyone else that has passed. Every once in a while, there's an overlap. And that Bank Street reading series, we've had quite a few celebrities in there, like James Garner, Diane Carroll, Victor Borgia, there's John Davidson. This is just a weird little thing that doesn't show up on IMDb or anywhere else. And so I'm happy that I got to show it to you. Also happy to show you those Viceroy cigarette ads. And there's a lot of back announcing happening right now. And smoking personal pollution film. I had that very dry doctor talking and talking and talking. Jim Palmer, thank you for the coffee. That is my vice. And thank you for supporting it. And secondhand coffee exposure is no joke. If you like what you saw, you can hit the like button, the thumbs up button, the subscribe button. You can share it with people you like or hate. You can also buy us coffee at ko-fi.com/avgeeks. Also, buymeacoffee.com/avgeeks. I hope everybody has a good weekend. I'm going to take a break. It's going to be great. I won't take a break. Who am I kidding? Anyways, as always, we look inside the film can to give us advice, and it tells us to please rewind and love each other. That seems like good advice. Give yourself a break. Give people in your life a break, especially the ones that are super agitated and irritated right now. If you have anybody in the healthcare community, reach out to them, because they're incredibly overworked and underappreciated. So just say, hey, I know it's hard for you nowadays. We're thinking of you. What can I do for you? Can I buy you dinner? Can I watch your dog? What can we do to support those people that do so much work for us and deal with us when we are at our worst? Everybody take care, and we'll see you soon.